Today we are making an interrupted circuit using a coffee cup. This to-go cup is a little different because the lid has a tab that goes up and down to keep your drink warm. We're using that as a switch. So you'll need a hot to-go cup, a hole punch, a hobby knife, conductive nylon tape, a metal brad fastener, a 3-volt LED, a 2032 battery, and a soda can tab. Now to get started, we're going to start with the cup. I'm using a styrofoam, so the LED will punch through very easily. If you're using paper cup, you might need a safety pin or something sharp to poke 2 holes for where the LED pins go through. Now we're just going to push the pins up, flush against the cup. This is important that they don't touch, and we're going to be taping those down. So we have our nylon conductive tape here. These have been cut down to size to make it easier for the video, but it'll come in a roll and you'll just cut it down to size. You're going to push it down as tightly as you can and over the top of the lid. You can use your fingernail and go along those pins as well to really make sure you have a good connection. It's important that both of these do not touch. You will short out your battery if they do. So be very careful, or spread those pins apart if you want to before you put it through your cup. And again, it just goes up and over inside of the cup. And pushing those down can really help with the connectivity at the end. There we go. Now let's move on to the lid. So with this lid, like I said, there is a tab which is a switch for our purposes. But we need to make a few holes first. So I have a hole punch here that's really good. It's got a 2-inch reach. So it means I can really get in there and make a small hole. It's just big enough. If you don't have a hole punch like this, you could probably use a hobby knife or something else that's sharp. You might need an adult's help. You'll also need a hobby knife to cut that little slit there at the base of the tab. Make sure you don't cut the tab though. There's just a small little opening we need so that we can push the nylon tape through to make that connection. There we go. So now let's start putting down our conductive tape onto the lid. We're just making a huge loop circuit that's going to be interrupted by that tab. So again, this piece has been cut down to size for ease of the video, but you'll measure it out. Basically, we want to start connecting it right to where the lid would be on our cup. So there's a general idea here. You can always move it at the end. This tape is quite forgiving, so if you don't get it the first time, don't distress. You can easily pull it up and reposition it a little bit if you need to. Use something like a pencil or the back of the hobby knife so that you're not cutting the tape, but you're just pushing it into all the crevices. And we're going to take the excess and just push it right through that mouth hole. And then we're going to push it down so that it's flush against that mouth hole, which is where that tab is going to hit to make that connection. And again, this tape is very forgiving and it's very conductive, so it's not as fiddly as copper tape is. Okay, so now let's put the tape that goes onto the tab itself, which is what's going to close this loop when it's pushed down. Again, this is cut down to size for ease of the video. I'm going to cover the part that goes into the mouth hole, the plug, and all the way down the tab. Again, you might need a pencil or the back of the knife to push it into those little crevices. That's what's going to get those connections. And then getting it through that slit is a little tricky, but just take your time. And again, you know, if it gets stuck, just pull it up and try again. You can get it. Okay, so with the excess we pulled through, we're just going to lay it down flat. Our battery is going to sit on top of that. So let's get the soda can tab and we're going to bend it slightly. This bend is what's going to push the battery against that nylon tape we just laid down from the tab. And you're going to need that metal brad fastener to hold that down. It's a pretty tight connection. And you're just going to open up that brad on the other side like you normally would, as tightly down as you can. And then you're just going to slip your battery in, which you can do at this point or after you've put down your last tape. Either way, it doesn't matter. And this tape is going to be lined up with the cup, and then it's going to lay on top of that metal brad. So get your cup and start seeing where it should go. Again, if you don't get it the first time, don't worry, you can pull it up and try again. It looks like it's going to line up, so I'm just going to push it down then and make sure that I get it tightly into those crevices, so when I close the cup, it's making those connections. And down it goes. Just laying it on top is plenty good for this connection. It's highly conductive. So we've got our battery in, we've got our positive on this side or a negative, and just testing it. There we go, it's lighting up already. So that means that I know everything should be good, and I'll just line them up, and there we go. We've got our finished paper, well, styrofoam in my case, coffee cup lantern. You can cut holes in it, you can make designs on it. It's great for emergencies or just for fun, a slumber party. It's very cheap to make with less than 70 cents per cup if you needed to do it new. And if you could get all this stuff recycled, it's practically free. So a great project for kids and adults, and highly customizable. So if you do make it, let me see what you did.